sacrifice isn't always forever. Sometimes it's about redirecting your energy towards something greater, even if it means something that you love has to get put aside temporarily. I'm exhausted. In the case of our 23-week-long journey towards Radiant, both in-game as well as in real life, more than ever, it is crucial for us to level up our cardio so that the path to becoming an extraordinary man no longer limits our cognition and depreciates our Valorant training. If this is your first time checking out the Zasko.2 channel, I'm relentlessly chasing my dreams of mental, physical, emotional, and financial mastery, and every single week I'm releasing a video documenting my journey. In an attempt to bulk up and become the Greek god of aim, over the last couple years I have severely neglected my cardio. So much so that the last few weeks I've struggled not to fatigue after just 2 days of recording. This is pathetic, and my ancestors would be ashamed to label me an IRL Radiant. I think it's finally time that we fix it. First things first, we got our Ninjutsu Sora V2. This is a purchase we made with the Zasko.2 fund last week, and this mouse is a massive upgrade from the G Pro because we are a claw gripper and this is the best claw grip mouse. Now, with the dramatic chaos that we ended last week at, our usual weekly coaching session with Dopai got postponed as I just needed some time to recover, alright? I needed to get back on my feet. Our annual leave is over, however this week I've got barely any work anyway, so I decided to put together a bit of a plan. Instead of going to the gym before work, I'm gonna go after. I'm gonna lock in meditation before every single Valorant session and then have the gym be after that Valorant session so that I'm less fatigued playing. However, the absolute main focus for this week is going to be increasing our cardiovascular health. My resting heart rate sucks, my heart rate variability also sucks, and I am fatiguing so fast. This of course means that if I'm going to the gym or working longer hours, I'm impacting my Valorant performance because my cognition declines dramatically. This means if I want to perform in Valorant or it's getting closer to the time where I need to edit a YouTube video, I immediately start skipping exercise and resting as much as possible so that I'm not fatigued when I go into these things. What I want is the cardio to be able to work a full day, lift until absolute failure, and then still be able to perform at Valorant because I'm a fit and healthy person. Now onto day one, let's put our brand new routine to the test. Starting off with meditation, I decided to stack this on top of habits that we've already built. Those habits being our focus training, where we stare at moving circles and get our eyes super sharp. Then our physical warm-up, where we go through our entire body, warming up every single muscle as best as possible. After that, taking our creatine, alpha GPC, and iodine drops. Before getting stuck into our mechanical warm-up, which consists of the Ramp Aim Labs playlist by Voltaic, shooting some targets in the range, and then hopping into deathmatch. However, I think that it's extremely important to set some intentions going into these games so that we're not playing to play and instead we're playing to learn. Up until now, we've had 4 very valuable coaching sessions with Dopai, and with that we've got plenty of notes and plenty of knowledge to put to use. Before playing the games, I had to read through all of our notes and made sure that everything was still fresh in my mind and that I was applying everything that we've learned so far. Now, starting off with the fundamentals, we follow in a piece of utility, and then we make space by dashing onto site. Once on site, we smoke ourselves off again to give ourselves a bit of extra time to process what's going on. Now that we've taken space on site, it's my job to make sure that we get the bomb down. And once down, it's just about finding a power position to play and holding that flood as best as possible. Swapping over to our defense side, we're still playing that fast rotate position. Our goal is to be on site, fighting and killing people before the enemy team has enough time to establish themselves and hold off our retake. Now, as I'm taking these fights, it is super important that I'm popping dash when I know I'm going to get into an engagement. This was something that I was really messing up last week, and the dash usage just wasn't there. In order to stay unpredictable though, 20% of the time we're pushing either A main or B main, looking for those early fights. Now, despite the massive improvements in our angle holding abilities, overall the team couldn't really pull it through, and we end up starting the week with a match MVP loss. Our second competitive game of the day, we end up getting bind, and what better map to practice fighting within the arena and playing our power positions. With the wide choke point of short as well as the gecko flash to help us get out, I decide to hold onto my dash and use it to take a duel. Now the smokes are down and they've set the arena. We're not going to push past them, instead we're going to get into a power position that contests the spawn flood. And of course, once eliminating everyone, it's just about playing as best as I can with the team. In this case, I tried my best to swing off of the team's utility, but I kind of misjudged how effective it would be. Now, in order to not make the same mistake as last week, I wanted to make sure that I kept to a 3-game limit. So at first I was super happy to get Abyss, but throughout the entire attack half of the game, I've got barely any footage to show because I was getting absolutely destroyed the entire time. Now, something that I never would have predicted to happen so soon was versing someone who watches the videos and knows my plays. They left a really kind comment letting me know, and I don't see it as a bad thing because now I'm actually aware this is a possibility, but it's just about what to do in future because I don't really want to hide my name. Anyways, my first games of the week averaged out to be pretty ordinary. However, now we're on to phase 2. Exercising directly after a bout of learning increases the rate at which your brain creates brand new synapses. This is because your brain releases more of this chemical called BDNF and basically it just makes you learn faster. This is something I learned from MetaDoc, who is a performance coach, and dude, I want him to performance coach me, man. Anyways, the exercise split for this week will once again be a push-pull legs day, as I really wanted to push myself to my physical limits. This week, I was actually going to prioritize IRL radiant over radiant. Like I said earlier, this is something I've never done before. Because I've been accurately tracking all the sets and reps that I've been doing at the gym, this week I make it an absolute must to go above and beyond all of last week's reps. I do try my best to continue to work on form. However, next week I do have a personal training session scheduled, and hopefully that will get things really moving. Heading back home, I was super proud of this workout, and I get straight into our next bout of training. This here is one of my favorite Kovacs maps of all time, Valorant Angle Hold V2. We smash out 20 minutes and end up with a 66% accuracy. After that, I wanted to explore a discovery that I made a little bit earlier. This is the speed that I normally shoot at when I do 2 bullet bursts. However, technically you can have less time between bullets. But after 3 to 4 bursts at this speed, you end up becoming inaccurate. But what if we clump together 3 short bursts and then follow it up with a regular reset? An alternative is doing 3 quick bursts and then committing to a spray, or even swinging an angle with dash, doing 3 bursts and then dashing back before you're inaccurate. I think this has potential because we're maintaining evasiveness, but we're simultaneously getting out so many more fully accurate bullets. And from the deathmatches that I've been practicing this in, it actually seems like the small micro steps are more than enough to throw someone's crosshair placement off and force them to readjust and recorrect. Now, in order to implement this into my games without destroying everything else we've been building, we need it to be subconscious. And in order to make it subconscious, we're gonna have to practice it a lot. But even consciously thinking about it, like I won all 3 death matches tonight. Like this is good. This must be effective. Now to finish off this little training block, I just do a whole bunch of tracking, as tracking is just as important as clicking. And for Valorant, specifically adjust tracking. Now my reward for consciously trying to lower my tension and smooth out my aim was some brand new scores. However, if we want to push for these immortal scores, it's about downloading all this practice into our subconscious with a good night's sleep. Now, onto the final boss of today's productivity. It's finally time to address our lack of cardio. And because we're on a bulk at the moment and we're trying to put on weight, in order to not burn too many calories, we're doing 50-meter sprints. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked into the proper form and technique of sprints yet, but that's something we'll get to eventually. For now, I just want to get the repetitions in. I'm going for 4 50-meter sprints at maximum intensity. Now, these sprints must have affected my coordination because I ended up spilling thickened cream on my mousepad, but to be honest, it was getting a bit dirty anyway, so this is a good excuse to clean it up. But anyways, while that dries, I relax for the rest of the night and just watch some ass-pass VODs, trying to get as many ideas for the future days as possible. Now, in regards to Wednesday's progression, we ended the day with 18.2 strain. Now, in order to reference how much that is, the average strain of a 20-year-old is about 12, and anything between 18 and 21 is considered going completely all out, like bonkers. Now, I don't think I got close to what an 18 to 20-year-old would have to do in order to reach 18 strain. I just simply think this is a representation of how bad my cardio is. Now, just in case there are any artists that watch this YouTube channel, I had an idea that I just really wanted to make a reality, but I don't know how to paint. So I put together a rough sketch and just a bunch of my ideas on paper, and if anybody can recreate this, I'll purchase it for 100 Australian dollars. But no low quality dodgy AI made stuff. Like if it's hand painted, that would be so cool. If you do end up making anything, my email is in the description. 3 weeks from now, I'll pick the best one, put it up on my wall for everybody to see every single video, and give you $100. Now anyways, Thursday we're waking up at 6 o'clock. This should be 6:30, but my body's used to 5 o'clock, and changing my circadian rhythm, I don't know, it's been a bit tricky. Anyways, plan is same as always though, using our sad lamp as soon as we wake up in order to help regulate our sleep. After another short shift, I actually make my way to the post office. One of the Ko-Fi supporters ended up breaking their mouse, and I decided, you know what, I just bought a new one, and I'm super happy to give back to the community anyways. Arriving back home, it's straight into our meditation, as, like I said earlier, we have to do it before we play Valorant or we are weak. Now, last night before bed, I read the rest of the Book of Rings, the Miyamoto Musashi book, and a concept that I absolutely loved from it was that a master of something never looks busy when they do it, and this is definitely true when I play Valorant. When I look at my best rounds, I'm so calm and I just don't look rushed at all. However, the times where I'm performing poorly, oftentimes I'm just scattered and all over the place. So queuing into these death matches, my goal was to slow my mind down enough to try and process everything that's going on, and so that I just flow with the situation instead of having the situation control control me and having me be all over the place. Now, being day 2 of our triple burst practice, it was actually starting to become very effective now. I was absolutely loving the ability to dodge bullets but just send a barrage back. It's definitely not subconscious yet though, so chances are as I play my games, I'm not going to be whipping it out straight away, but eventually I will. Eventually I will. Now, with the idea in mind that haste leads to waste, I'm being extremely deliberate about my clears and trying to process as much information as possible. One side still. Now, of course, because I'm not rushing around like a headless chicken, my ability to process everything that was happening on the map was way better. My positioning was more efficient, and I was able to communicate with my team in a way that helped them secure the round. I even got to see some early iterations of the triple burst in my fighting, which by no means is clean and perfect, but early days. Now, staying calm and only fighting when provoked only comes to a certain point. As you can see here, after getting 3 and knowing the last is CT, I swing for the kill instead of falling back and playing the numbers advantage. A well-disciplined fighter though wouldn't care about this kill, and neither should I, so this is something we have to work on. Now, the final round of the game ends with a failed attempt at crunching tiles because no one was there, and then being left in a 1 versus 3 clutch. Now, the reason I thought this particular fight was special was because I really slowed down. I leave my presence to the left, slowly wrap to the right, get the kill, and get the round. Had I have rushed onto site, the Sage would have just wrapped around the box and I wouldn't have been able to win. I slowed it down that time. Now, queuing into our second game of the day, I was still applying these same principles. I was plonked in the middle of A site with an angry team looking to plant a bomb and kill us all, and I do a really good job at just holding my angles and not overheating too hard. I spot the Cypher and I'm just being patient, waiting for him to swing and not exposing myself to elbow, and then I'm eventually rewarded for my patience with the kill on Cypher. Last player's elbow, spikes on site, and it's a 3 versus 1. Don't push. A second win for the day puts us on rank up, and then for our final game of the day we get a Ascent and perform well enough to get our Immortal back. This wasn't as satisfying as the first time we got it on a match MVP streak of like 10 games, but it is what it is. On to phase 2, where it is our job, it is our duty to push as hard as physically possible and make some gains, alright? Now, because it's Thursday and we're doing our second day of gym in a row, it's now our pull day, doing back and arms. But however, going as hard as I did yesterday, I was already starting to feel like I was lacking a bit of juice, you know? I wasn't going as hard as I was the first day. Considering I still want to do cardio and I want to repeat this another 4 times across the week, this is looking daunting. Anyways, I get some sunlight while eating dinner, always a good way to recover a bit, and then I get stuck into our next Valorant training session. Mousepad is actually like, let's say it's 90% dry now. I think it's pretty fair to mention that playing on a wet mousepad probably made my performance a lot less satisfying earlier, so maybe that's why I wasn't so happy with my games. But nevertheless, after getting a really good sleep and yesterday's BDNF aim training sessions, we get our Immortal score on adjust tracking, and then we get 4 points off of an Immortal score on control strafes, and then I lost it, I couldn't get it. From there, it's straight back to our sprint training, and I push as hard as I can, doing another 4 50-meter sprints, and with that marks the end of Thursday. Now, with our second day of 17 plus strain, this is hard. This is getting hard. But the one thing going through my mind is that if nothing changes, nothing will change, and this is what we have to do in order to become great. Now, just for the newer viewers, I want to let you guys know that I'm currently reinvesting every dollar I make from the YouTube channel back into the YouTube channel. We've got a pool of money called the Zasko2 Fund, and it's made up of our ad revenue, Ko-Fi income, and just any other money that I make from the channel at the moment. However, because I don't like to be ordinary, what I've done is give the Ko-Fi supporters access to a Discord server that allows them to suggest and vote on ideas for what we spend the money on. I give them full control over that, and every purchase you've seen so far, like the Whoop Band for example, has been decided on by the supporters. If you guys want to be a part of the community and support my dreams of becoming a full-time content creator, there's a link in the description where you can check out the Ko-Fi. Returning back from work on Friday, I was absolutely feeling it. So much so that I decided it was probably a priority to get some stretches in. Willpower was getting lower and lower, so much so that I just ended up skipping meditation and going straight into our warm-up. Now, unfortunately, not only did I skip meditation, but I was starting to lose sight of that vision I had of being a cool, calm, collected player. Playing my deathmatch, and I was just straight back to busyness, straight back to frantic headshots, kill everyone as fast as possible. There was no flow, there was just death. And listen to me, I'm proud of it. That's a dry mousepad right there. Queuing into Haven, working up that B site has become subconscious. Not only that, but so is our new movement. Finally, our pathing onto site itself, once again, quick decision, it's subconscious, I just dash onto that upwards shelf. All this information has been completely stored in the back of my mind and is definitely subconsciously competent.
We could honestly just have me ult in on it.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll follow it in. This is another area of improvement that we've got down. If there is something to follow onto site, I follow it. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, of course, this is a good thing. However, I could be doing it more. One of the main points that I had, which I should reflect on, is that I'm playing the game on hard mode when I opt for solo plays. It's times like this that should remind me, hey, the game's a hell of a lot easier when you've got team and team util. And hey, if you want to see proof of that, check out this 3-man push down mid.
Last one, you got it. Nice.
Now, besides our super thorough angle clears, I reckon just simply being on a fully dry mousepad was probably playing its part in this success. However, to be completely honest, right about here was the limit of the energy I had. I was so tired that queuing into my next game, I just really couldn't focus on anything. We end up losing and I bottom fragged so hard. On top of that, feeling so mentally weak. Queuing into my second game, it was the same thing. I hit a couple nice shots here and there, but my overall performance was absolutely terrible. I was honestly just that run it down no com jet that just kind of didn't care. I was tilted and frustrated and I ended up getting another loss because of it. Okay, I'm like super tilt. I'm super tilt. I felt like I couldn't focus. I felt like I had no confidence. Towards the end of the game, I was just getting tilted and kind of pissed off. I feel frustrated. I feel so frustrated. After this game, I did something that I was pretty proud of. Instead of spiraling and letting things get out of control, I recovered by getting up a yoga nidra or NSDR script and just sitting there and doing a guided meditation for 30 minutes. Now, despite the NSDR having a calming impact on my mind, it did not combat the effects of fatigue that I was feeling. I got a control strafe score 6 points off Immortal and then just absolutely spiraled from there. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. My head hurts. Like, my head actually hurts. Just so tired. I'm straining it. If I don't go to the gym, I'm not going to improve myself. This is me choosing IRL Radiant over Radiant by going to the gym. Oh, I don't even want to, bro. I don't even want to. Against all odds, I get myself to the gym. Now, you don't understand how hard this was. I did not want to go at all. I was just fuming at the way that I felt, the way I was performing, the way everything was going, and I wanted to go down the same pathway that I always go down. I wanted to do nothing, I wanted to recover, and then I wanted to play some amazing Valorant for the video. But I promised this week would be different, and I'm going to make sure that it's different. Now, one of the perks of the carnivore diet is just faster muscle recovery, so despite having smashed multiple days of sprints in a row, it wasn't muscle fatigue that was holding me back from really going as hard as I wanted to. The best way that I can explain it is like cardiovascular tiredness. Cardio fatigue. Nevertheless, I felt like going to this workout was me passing through a personal barrier. I was super proud of myself afterwards, and I definitely felt that post-workout motivation. So much so that I go home, do some angle holding practice, and end up smashing our accuracy record by an additional 10%. From there, I get stuck into some death matches where I actually do really focus on slowing down. You can just see by the efficiency in my peaks that I'm not looking rushed, I'm not looking busy. It's just clean, precise, accurate movement. Now, after smashing out 3 death matches, I decided there's no way I'm doing cardio today. There's just no way. I was way too exhausted. Now, wrapping up Friday, I was able to get my strain back down to 12.9. 12.9 isn't necessarily enough for us to recover. However, at least we're not going ridiculously above and beyond. Now, going into Saturday, I'm working my final shift of the week. However, this one is twice as long as the others. This isn't a big deal. It just means that I'm doing a little bit more physical work and I've got a bit less time in the day. So just something to keep in mind. But of course, upon arriving home, the next step for us is to get straight into our warm-up.
Zasko.
Yo.
You better be using everything that Dopai is teaching you right now. Don't you dare choke this match.
I won't, bro.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah, can't say that and say no pressure. Now, unfortunately, queuing into our first game, this is literally the epitome of why I want to improve my cardio. We start off with some super clean shots and everything's looking nice to begin with, but having not recovered at all and having such a small gas tank, it just goes downhill so fast. This game was so bad that I just straight up recorded the entire thing and just sent it to Dopai begging for help. So for next week's weekly coaching session with Dopai, this is going to be the VOD 100%. Now, second game of the day was on Haven, and as you can see, the concept of not looking busy, that just goes out the window when you've got this thick layer of brain fog. Defense, I felt super scattered and as if I couldn't react fast enough, and everything just felt so difficult. On attack, I just felt like I couldn't win the mid duel. I pick mid every time. I reckon you stun it, bro, and we swing it. Luckily, we've got some game sense to back us up and support us in times where, you know, we're not performing so well. Now, one thing I want to explain is this angle holding state that I've now developed. When I know that I'm getting swung, I put myself in the same state of mind as when I do the angle hold V2 practice. What I've taught myself to do is focus hard on the crosshair, but don't wrinkle my forehead and focus too hard, and then use my peripheral vision to track the enemy's target and perfectly time it. And in practice, I hit the target 73% of the time. I feel that when I play Valorant. I feel like I never miss this shot now. Now, in my state of utter fatigue, I forget to record the end of the games, but we walk away with a win, don't worry. Now, for the sake of consistency, regardless of whether I feel like playing or not, I stick to 3 games a day, so nothing changed for the 3rd game, nothing changed. Well, I mean, besides this one ace, but I don't know where I pulled this out of her. I don't know how it happened.
Do you just sell and just all jump off?
Yeah. Now, you guys don't know how close I was to buying a brand new bench, and my neighbor randomly sent a message asking if I wanted one of his, so yeah, it worked out so perfect. Now, I've never had a bench before, so there are a few things that I have to try and teach myself here. Number 1, how do I get into my exercise without injuring myself? Number 2, more importantly, how do I get out of my exercise? I don't know. Now, as I did more reps, I started to understand the pathing that feels the most natural, and just how to get that same feel as when I do barbell. But by no means did I really know what I was doing. One thing though is that because I've got poor form when I do my cable exercises, I don't think I'm properly targeting my upper and lower chest at all. Because when I did incline bench and decline bench, I was absolutely feeling a ridiculous burn in these muscles, like something I never feel normally. Honestly, I felt the same way about my middle chest as well. The machine is normally pretty good, but just something about the dumbbells felt so much harder and just burnt so much more. But yeah, another terrible attempt at getting into an exercise properly, and we're on to decline. And like I said earlier, I've never felt my lower chest work like this. But once again, for the sake of my back and the floors and everything that we're working towards, I need to figure out how to get out of these exercises properly. Anyways, next up on the chopping paper, just in case you're new to the channel, this is how we get our nutrition. Organ meats, okay? Beef liver, absolute meta food. From there, once again, another 20 minutes of angle holding, and after that I continue on by practicing my jet knives until I literally couldn't anymore. I trained until absolute failure. Now, wrapping up Saturday, we finished with a 13.5 strain. Once again, not even close to recovering, hence why we are still so fatigued. However, I did make everything a whole lot worse by walking away with an injury to both my lower back and neck for some reason. So despite tomorrow being our day off and normally our day of grind, we're still completely fatigued, we've now got 2 injuries, and our cardio still sucks. Now, despite me waking up at 6, it definitely took me a couple hours to get my day started as I was just not feeling it. I randomly had an epiphany that we stopped dashing onto side during our retakes, which is probably holding us back heaps. So one of the first things I'm smashing out on Sunday morning is going through all the different sites and trying to remind myself how to dash onto them when we're in a retake. Not only that, but I had a pretty cool idea to do a little updraft here, and I don't know, this is something I thought of that was sick. Anyways, after finishing up some Haven retake dash practice, I hop onto Kovacs and I just explore some random angle holding scenarios. I kind of came to the conclusion that the one that we normally practice on is probably the best out there at the moment, so in future I'm just going to stick with that. But before hopping on and doing any form of grinding in a desperate attempt to try and relieve some of the pain that I was feeling, I did as many stretches as I could surrounding my back. It didn't help at all, so I get stuck into my warm-up anyways. Now, at this point in the week, I won't lie, the whole vision of playing to learn and not to just win was kind of going out the window, as I felt like I was just trying to survive. I felt like barely even having the energy to play full stop meant that playing to learn was just well and truly out of the picture.
I'm dogging this guy.
One on side, one on side.
One
thing I was thinking about though was the site at which I was playing on. So what I decided to do is play the opposite site to Cypher because he can stall and I can rotate to his site before they get out. But I was also making sure that there was 3 people on the site that I was playing, so that if I did fast rotate, there was still 2 people behind and I wasn't leaving behind a weak site. I feel like this is a super important part of playing fast rotate, especially on bind. And this was actually a massive game changer, 100%. If you get ulted by the ISO, he peeks in the middle. So I did the thing where you jump with the pistol, you know, and break a shield.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
No way, bro.
For our second game of the day, we get Icebox, and the defense half, I pretty much just AWP crutched the entire time, as that's all I had the confidence to really do. And then swapping over to the attack side, where controlled, calm aggression is super important, we were once again still super scattered and all over the place, and the same story repeats because we haven't done anything different. However, queuing into our final game of the week, funny enough, we finally put up a performance. Honestly, most times we play Abyss, it ends up being a good performance. So I think Abyss is just one of our better maps at the moment. And not only that, but our jet knives are actually starting to get pretty clean. This used to be one of our weakest points, and the fact that now we're actually consistently pulling off plays with them is quite nice. But yeah, being our first complete rest day so far, it's probably playing a part in why I'm starting to get better and better. And as tempting as it is to now start playing more games, we've got more important business to attend to.
Last backside. In smoke.
Should be in that side.
TP.
TP out.
In front of you, Jet. In front of you. Back in smoke.
Maybe TP back.
I love this guy. Watching KO's POV of Jet just not looking.
Bro, I was stressed. The Jet was looking at the view.
We finished the week with a match MVP win, and I'm happy with that. Now, what I'm cleaning up here is actually a stationary bike. I did a massive research session on cardio, something I should have done a long time ago, but I discovered Zone 2 cardio. Basically, long periods of super light cardio where you could technically have a conversation if you wanted to, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. This form of cardio makes you a much better fat burner and will assist in not only our higher intensity trainings, but just our day-to-day life energy. Especially our ability to go through work and not really get fatigued anymore. Like, this is exactly what we've been needing to develop this whole time. Oh, and I also bought a reciprocating saw. Best purchase ever. I want to learn the way of the artisan, and my first project was replacing the footrest that I've got that I really don't like, and this was one of the funnest things I've done in a while, 100%. But yeah, I was able to fill up my car with plywood for free on Marketplace, and I basically just freestyled this design and came up with something that I thought would work. But yeah, after sanding it down, putting my name on it, and then adding on some felt pads to stop it from destroying everything, I add a foot pedal to it so that we can bind something to it and do something with our foot. Yeah, that's about it. On to the benchmarks. Now this week we ended Ascendant 392 RR, and we did so with a 53% win rate, a 36% headshot, and we increased our AIM Labs benchmarks to 1320. Now, besides our weight increasing by 0.7 kilograms, finally getting us back to an all-time high, our other measurements didn't see any growth as we didn't really go that hard at the gym. We did smash out a few sprinting sessions, but they were definitely unsustainable. Next week, we're not only going to swap to Zone 2 cardio, but we're also going to swap from a 6-day gym split down to a 4-day gym split where we alternate between gym and cardio. That way I'm not doing both in the same day. Our longest meditation session this week was 30 minutes. We gained an additional 4,358 new subscribers, which is mind-blowing. And I bought a reciprocating saw, so that savings hasn't moved. Our progression regardless is absolutely insane, and it can really only go up from here. Despite this week having some setbacks, there's definitely so much that we've learned that we can carry forwards into the next weeks, try some new things. We're going to change up the cardio, change up the routine, try not to overdo ourselves too much, and with that, hopefully see some very nice Valorant gains. When the act ends, I've got something to share with you guys I think you'll be very happy with. But until then, we still have another week of grind. So I do appreciate all the support endlessly, and I'm excited to see you guys next week. Wednesday 4 AM every week. That's the way we do it. And enjoy your week of grind.